For this video, we're working on the sheet called Relative Not Working. Our data shows the different amenities in a health centre, then the number of people that have used those amenities, and the price each person pays to use those amenities. We're going to work out the cost first, which is the number multiplied by the price, which is a normal relative calculation. Then we'll work out the VAT as a relative calculation, and we'll see that going wrong. Click on to cell D6. Type in equals, click on B6, the number of people using the swimming pool, multiplied by C6, the price of the swimming pool. Remember, in Excel's programming, this is multiply 2 to the left of me by 1 to the left of me. We want that same calculation the whole way down, so click on the tick to accept it, and fill handle down. Don't worry about the hash signs in the cells, they just mean that the column isn't wide enough to display the contents. We'll double-click on the column line between D and E to auto-widen. So that was a perfect relative calculation, and we should always set up our data so that we calculate the first one, then fill handle to the other cells. We should never find ourselves manually carrying out the same calculation over and over. Next, we want to work out the VAT, which is the cost multiplied by 23%. Let's click on cell E6. 23% is contained in cell B3, and by the way, it doesn't matter whether it's written the way it is in B3 or whether it's written as 0.23. Excel sees it as the same. Type in equals, click on D6, the first cost, multiplied by B3, the VAT. Click on the tick to accept it, fill handle down, and widen that column. I think you can see we have a problem. Make sure your cursor is selected on cell E6. We can see that this first one is correct. It's the rest of them that are completely incorrect. So what's happened? In Excel's programming, this calculation reads multiply 1 to the left of me by 3 to the left and 3 up. Copy to E7 and it repeats itself. Multiply 1 to the left of me by 3 to the left and 3 up. So it's multiplying by a blank cell. Copy to E8, multiply 1 to the left of me by 3 to the left and 3 up. And it's multiplying by a piece of text, which is why we're getting the error value. Then all the other figures are huge because they are multiplying by the numbers attending. Now, to see this in a more visual way, double-click on cell E6. The cells involved in the calculation are coloured, making it easier to see. X or cancel out of that. And now, double-click on E7. X out of that, and double-click on E8. If we continue doing that, we can clearly see both cells in each calculation moving relatively. The thing is, that worked perfectly when we had columns or rows of equal size. But that's not the case here. We want to multiply many cells, the cost cells, by one cell, the VAT. We want the cost to move relatively from D6 to D7 to D8, etc. But we need the VAT side, B3, to stick, to stay on cell B3. When we want a cell to stick, we have to make it absolute. So this calculation needs to be a mix of a relative and an absolute calculation. Our next topic will introduce absolute calculation, and this understanding of relative and absolute calculation is the basis for the more advanced calculation in levels 2 and 3 of this course. If you're moving on to that next video called Understand Absolute Calculation, then you can keep this workbook open.